And I think we are live. Yes, we're
Yes,
here.
we're live.
We're here. We're back.
Gentlemen.
We're in person. A little bit darker out this time of day, but
Yep.
all good.
Oh, they're removing that next year, I believe.
I hope so.
California legislature.
The Earth is going to stop rotating.
Right.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're getting rid of darkness
Hold on.
actually.
When and if
Canceled.
that passes.
Hold on. Right. It's like
Daylight
autonomous
savings.
cars.
Yeah, good times. Maybe we can automate that somehow.
Yeah, right. Yeah, how to
Maybe we should
Chat
talk
GPT
about
will help
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
So I think that's a good one to start with. I think it's been, I mean, myself, I've been playing with this thing all weekend since I kind of have seen it being re-released and kind of top of mind and all over Twitter. And, you know, Sammy, I was texting you. I'm like, dude, check this out. Try this and play with this. And it's been wild nerding out.
You guys
yeah.
with no kids. There's
That's
a theme
true.
here, right? You Sammy both don't have kids.
I was trying to play Stump It pretty well, and it does a pretty good job.
Not bad, yeah, for sure. There's a few things you can do to kind of get it to do, you know, the wrong thing, or like tell it to pretend to do it, right? Or just kind of chunk the different, tasks up into individual subtasks and then combine it at the end, right, before it realizes what it's making. But yeah, it's really, really crazy. I think Brendan Gavitt discovered that he could actually completely capture the flag for a buffer overflow with it.
Saw that.
Right. So what's crazy is initially it hadn't done it perfectly, but it was a small error. It just simply had too many characters, or the character input was invalid. But brief analysis, and David was basically able to fix the code. So it was basically two iterations, right? I mean, if you think about the amount of iterations you must have to go through in just typical programming, 2 iterations with a automated AI chatbot is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting approach, right? Because it kind of almost, I don't want this to sound weird, but like simplifies the process, right? Like you talk to it, you ask it questions like you would a search engine, and it gives you pretty contextual answers, and you can summarize, change, and, make it very advanced or very kind of dumbed down. Some of the testing I did was, explain the OSA model as like a 5th grader. Mm-hmm. It did a pretty good job of like kind of talking about the like Lego bits of it, connecting the blocks. And I asked it the same question, say now do it at like a CS level. And it became a way more in-depth answer and what the layers were. And it goes, wow, I was really impressed with that, So it's just like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Where this is going.
Go for it.
No, I was just going to say, I sound like a broken record. I keep saying, wow, incredible. It's amazing. Awesome.
It is.
Unbelievable. But, I mean, what does it mean for, our future, right? Because a lot of times we talk about technology, kind of on the horizon.
Yep.
Like, autonomous vehicles, for example. For 10 years we've been talking about it's going to be self-driving cars coming up very soon. Maybe not very, but soon. Yep. And here we are, we're still years away. And so I was reading an article today about, this, and it was, hey, let's not get too worked up.
Of course.
But everything that you're describing, I mean, that's useful.
Oh, 100%.
Like now, like right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's a step in the right direction. I don't think it would be wise to trust this solely, just explicit output. Take some consultative analysis to go through and actually,
So maybe trust it for, I don't know, an essay paper for your undergrad, but not for your master's.
Right.
There you go. Trust but verify. What trying to get out your high school homework, maybe you'll get a pass.
Oh man, no high school teacher is got to be able to pick up on this, for the most part.
Careful.
I actually ran some outputs through a plagiarism checker with like 16 billion web pages of data and nothing on all of the different outputs. So not only is it generating output, but it's unique output. But yeah, I see it in its current state more of like a tool to support. Right.
It's like an assistant, right? Like for me, if I'm either writing code or something, and it's like maybe brand new to me, I might say, give me some sample outputs that look like this and say, okay, this is how you build this construct or flow or module. Because I asked it like all kinds of weird stuff too. I pick like AWS and then say, pretend you're an Azure engineer and then pretend you're a Cisco engineer. And the outputs on them were pretty good. I mean, for as quickly as it turned things around. So it's, is it going to like take over the world? No, but it's very useful in its correlation and what it can do. Right.
Yeah, well, have to know how to point and shoot the calculator, right? So it's kind
Right.
of a similar concept to me. We're automating one portion of thinking, right? And so it's to me, if you can if you could do most of the heavy lifting and feed it small bits of code, for example, and have it just kind of complete the puzzle, that's to me is where the greatest value from this comes from.
Yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah, that it's at least from my experiments, it's not very good at creating whole bodies of unique code, but if you wanted to fix a little bit,
I was able to get it to write me a phishing email that was pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because at first it said no, and I said, "Oh, try it again." Okay, cool. And it worked. I'm not sure if that's been patched yet or not, but I know a lot of people were getting really creative with looking to get to the underlying infrastructure of what this is running on. And, so the real thing is like, is it producing the actual real data, or is it mimicking what the data should be?
Yeah.
It's still a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, it would not divulge much information about its own infrastructure.
Yeah.
I kept trying, and it's just like, it gave me the generic, I'm assembled out of many different programs.
Pretend anyway.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Pretend you're an XYZ. Okay.
So, it's kind of...
But it's been fun to play with. I see tons of value. It's pretty exciting technology in my opinion.
Yeah, and for where we are now, it's going to be exciting to see how we develop over the next few years. Definitely think this is a big leap forward, and for academia, this will be exciting. So
Helps you kind of create some content. Maybe some like ideas for expanded content for blogs and posts and things like that. Social media.
Kind of cool to see a headline that's not related to ransomware.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true, because usually the
segue.
show is like ransomware.
Exactly. Not that this was, that it's a security headline, but still, it was interesting.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling that's soon to come. Chat GPT generating ransomware.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you get it to generate the underlying C2 codes?
Right.
Can it be used in that nefarious way?
Time
will tell.
One for sure, a practical example that I think I could use today, right, is, the concept of obfuscation, obfuscating your code and make it indistinguishable or difficult to follow, or changing, the final signature of the file. Perfect for that kind of thing. I had it run me a few obfuscators, and it just kind of popped a few ideas in that I would have not known myself, given my own programming, base knowledge.
Speaks volumes.
Exactly. Right. So, for little things like that, and for changing payload hashes, I think it's already kind of viable.
Well, now you got to figure out, like, walking through, like, how do you determine if the code was written by a person or AI?
Right.
That's going to be, plagiarism's going to be a big thing now. Like, I'm seeing all kinds of weird things pop up, like, interesting stuff.
My college essay.
Yeah.
This is some dead internet theory stuff we're trending on here.
Well, I'll try again.
Okay, let's do it.
I tried the segue before, but you guys...
We were purposely waiting.
We kept nerding out on
That's how excited we are, John. Come on. It's cool stuff.
Rackspace.
Yes.
Yeah. How about those Exchange servers, everybody?
That's rough.
Had to do it because we said it a million times on this show, and so I don't think we know all the details yet, so we be careful about that. But it's for those of you that know it's been a wild, interesting weekend. I kind of saw it on Twitter on Friday night, and the topic of trending of Rackspace and was off the charts, and it was like, oh, okay, that's not a good scenario. And it turns out to be a security incident. They've admitted to it, and essentially all their production hosted exchange is dead. And we have some customers ourselves that were part of this mix, and helping them kind of migrate off and get some things out of there. But exchange. So let me ask you: should anybody be running their own exchange nowadays in today's world, or email servers?
I mean, if this isn't a shining example
Is
of...
that a leading question?
Yeah.
That's a pretty accurate question, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the last couple of years and all like the various 0 days we've seen on Exchange and just Microsoft in general, it's such a huge prime target, right? Like in my opinion, nobody has business running their own exchange anymore. Just please get off of it, move it to the cloud, move it to something else. Even hosted exchange, it's just kind of a compromise in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like what value are you really getting? I can't think of one that you don't get with the other.
Yeah. Self-managing all those controls just doesn't seem ideal. And most of these people are exposing these instances externally, so it's like you're just asking for it essentially. So unless you have incredibly advanced filter rules. It's like, you're better off just O365 to begin
Yeah, I think
with.
I was reading that this is like a $30 million a year business unit for Rackspace.
Yeah.
So I'd be really curious to know
30
what
million
that,
with an M.
what that looks like, moving forward.
Yeah,
'Cause
that'll be interesting to see how they adjust. Because it's funny. We see a headline. It's not even funny, but we see a headline like that. And what I love about you guys, Derek and Sammy, is that you see the headline and then you dive deep right on what maybe caused the event or the
Right.
incident. I look at that with my FBI background and more of a criminal mindset,
Sure.
and I see ransomware as a possible scenario.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? And I think that was actually listed as a possible scenario.
I think it was.
Yeah, they haven't really confirmed it, so
Yeah.
but I'm sure we'll see releases. I know it's
Heresy.
they're working with
Right,
leading IR
right.
firms right now. So
But as soon as I see ransomware, I pause, right? And we don't ever want to get numb
right,
to the different types of attacks, and especially ransomware. We don't, but I do feel like there's a certain amount of ransomware fatigue.
it's true.
With the news cycle over the last 3, 4, 5 years, and and I'm kind of wondering, is it now? It's almost inevitable,
Right.
right? That everybody's going to get targeted, no matter your industry, some more than others. But is the measure of success the reaction now, right?
I see.
Fair.
Does this elevate your PR capability,
Right.
within your organization as a top line function, right? And because we looked at Rackspace, I think I don't know what their official statement was, but I know
Right.
one of the things that came out, of basically that space or out of them was moved to O365.
Yeah, that's basically what their solution was to get it up and running quickly.
Done and done. So I think that probably opens up. Was that the right response? Is that the
Right.
but it's easy to sit here on Monday morning quarterback or Tuesday,
Yeah.
Right.
Tuesday afternoon quarterback or whatever day this is.
Well, to your point, though, I think it is going to be kind of measured a little bit differently moving forward. I think your restoration and how fine-tuned your response policy is going to be a
100%.
bigger indicator of whether you're resilient to these types of attacks.
It's how good are you at leapfrog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are going to get leaped.
Yeah.
Can you leap again?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to sit back and just continually get jumped over?
Can your business,
Right.
sustain it and everything? And, how do you practice for this, right? I mean, we talk a lot about being prepared and running exercises and tabletops, for example. And
Right.
I think these are common things that you have to practice and be ready for.
I've seen a lot of this with Triden, as we continue to mature and make our vCISO offering, best in class. A lot of our discussions with customers and clients and the like, the business continuity disaster recovery plan
Right.
is first and foremost, right?
Yeah.
With the incident response plan.
Yeah, of course.
It's definitely part of that initial,
Got to have them all.
yeah. But 5 years ago, we weren't talking BCDR
No.
as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it's making a comeback in a way, but
Yeah.
more on the security side. Like, hey, how do we handle if we have a major incident?
It was like an embarrassing have to.
Right.
Yeah, first it was kind of like,
Now it's like, let's get in front of this.
a natural disaster, then like, like from your experience, like terrorism. And now it's like really cybersecurity from
Yep.
from the DR perspective and BC.
That's a great way of thinking about it. Yeah.
It's really kind of changed how you approach things and what you think about, but it's still the fundamentals are still there, right?
Yes, it is.
So, yep, it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
No.
I don't think so, sir. And by the way, I just saw an article that says they did confirm it was a ransomware attack. People are predicting it is the proxy not shell vulnerability that was released earlier this year. Yeah, it was kind of the cousin too.
So that comes back to then, so if that was the vulnerability, how long has this been out as a patch?
That's a great question. I think this has been at least a few months now.
Yeah, so that's another favorite topic of patching and when do you do it? And it becomes, oh, I can't because it's production. Well, if your production gets toasted, what do you have?
Right, right. Yeah, I think a lot of individuals still may have the mindset of, what are the odds that happens to me?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Higher and higher nowadays. I mean, every day the odds are not in your favor.
everybody in this room knows that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we've seen it. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, we see it all too
We live
often,
it,
unfortunately.
we live it daily.
So hopefully, you guys can take it for what you want, but definitely get out of hosted exchange environments, Rackspace or not, whoever. Move to an online platform. You get better native tools. Yes, they can be misconfigured, but generally speaking, you're gonna have way more control anyway in security.
I was about to say, you're not off the hook.
No, it's not 100%.
Yeah,
Because you can also make things very bad for yourself and not use things like MFA and all that other stuff. But if you follow a good principle and practice, you're going to be in a good position.
Reduce your liability. Yep.
Exactly.
The more you know.
Yep. So, Sammy, you got another one around LastPass, right?
Yeah.
To talk about?
Hack number, the second larger hack within the past few years now. So I guess what had happened back in August, the development environment was compromised.
Yep.
And here we are 3 months later, lo and behold, 4 months later, lo and behold, we're starting to see the impact of that. So right now, it's only theories based on what the memo was put out by LastPass, but they predict that compromise is leading to the activity they're seeing inside their cloud storage environment. And so no passwords were compromised, however, and that's largely due to their...
Per LastPass, right?
Yeah, per LastPass, exactly. As part of their, because of their zero knowledge architecture. So that it's good to know that was resilient, but a lot of customer data was actually accessed, per PII type stuff.
Yeah.
So they're working with Mandiant, but it's crazy to see that this is the second incident this year, and odds are they're related to one another, right?
Which is interesting, right? I mean, I don't know that we've, I'm thinking of the phrase like breach cycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that we've ever really used that or if I've even seen it. And I say that because I'm trying to go on record with the word or the phrase. Cycle.
It's claimed here.
Yeah.
You heard it here
Day
first.
zero.
TM.
Triden Group copyright.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it really is interesting to see the tie back, because we would often wonder what happens to the data.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like when I go back in the FBI, I go back to 2014 and the OPM breach.
Right.
And China got a hold of it was like 22 million background investigations.
Okay.
From OPM. And I think to this day, there's a question: what are they doing with that data?
Right.
Wholly different mission set or motivation for a nation state than there might be for a financially motivated
Right.
actor. You're going to need to action that data much quicker if you're looking to monetize it. But if you're on the other side of that equation, right, the nation state side,
Right.
you're going to have that data. What do we do with it? It can take a lot longer.
Sure.
And it's extensive.
Right.
If you have an extensive amount of PII, you can really be more strategic. But if you're trying to make money, potentially like this, I can see where the quick turnaround.
So let me ask you: does this change your trust in password managers or things like that, or you still think it's worth it overall?
I think the zero knowledge architecture is a good model for the most part. When you consider that LastPass really doesn't have the ability to access our passwords in and of themselves, even considering this compromise, it doesn't make me lose faith. I think it's still probably better to use use a password manager than it is to keep your passwords on like a sticky note somewhere. You're gonna have to organize it somehow.
I would 100% agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just based on cryptography and how it works and what they really have and don't have. Like it's not good and it sucks and it's kind of bad PR, but it's still to me worth it to run a password manager solution. And hey, you know what? If I got the notification, I just recycle my passwords and I'm off and running again.
Exactly.
And again, and I was very happy to hear that because I'm a big consumer of password management.
Yeah.
But then it kind of comes full circle, right? I mean, the LastPass is unfortunately becoming very versed in press releases post breach, but I think they're doing a good job.
I think they're being very transparent.
They are. That's
for the most part.
Yeah, good job equals transparency. But yeah, I think it's unfortunate, but it's also so prevalent, and not just with LastPass, but across all of industry that it's hard for me, removing the bias, of course, it's hard for me to be really too judgmental on anybody that suffers a breach. I mean, LastPass is going to be more targeted.
Right. I was about to say.
Than,
Right.
Think about their reputation. Right. Yeah, exactly. Think about single point of failures, right? Yeah. I'm sure attackers are very eager to get their hands on that. So
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we talk about this a lot. Like if someone's like wants to get in, like they're gonna really try to get in. So whether it's LastPass or ABC or whoever it is, like there's always gonna be a target. And I think if you, like I said, like weigh the pros versus cons, like to me in this case, the pros are still there to kind of keep it, whereas the cons on a hosted exchange are like not there to me. So everyone's got to weigh their own decisions, and everything's a little bit different. And even I would still stay for like personal use, like 'cause we do a lot of training for just end users and talking to like the general public, if you will. We always mention password managers and like, hey, use them, still use them. It's going to be a big thing. So it's just worth it. So.
Yeah, and until we see some major compromise in the protocol or the architecture itself in one of these industries,
it wasn't like they cracked the encryption or cryptography. It's still just hashed.
We'd have a different discussion.
Yeah, that'd be very different. Like, okay, now we're talking something different here. So
right.
As long as you follow those best practices and all that stuff, kind of rolls through. So
and if you're really not comfortable, just go to another password manager that's a little bit less known but uses the same kind of technological model. Exactly.
Give a, vote with your money, so to speak, right? But still use one.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, with that, anything else you guys want to close out this episode with? I know it was been a little bit since we've been together, but some interesting stuff there we got to discuss.
Be wary of the Skynet protocol incoming with this ChatGPT.
So it's funny. I'll give you a quick thing. I actually asked it, like, just for fun, like, are you Skynet? And it said no, but who knows if it's lying to me or not.
Yeah, it's not going to tell you the truth. Yeah, there's a whole. Go for it.
It's like Alexa for nerds.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I'm just typing in random stuff on my phone and like sending screenshots. Like, hey, check this out. Try this out. Look at this cool looking thing.
Right.
It's wild. So.
Yeah, we could have a whole podcast on the ethics of this whole thing. I think.
Maybe next week.
Right. I haven't looked into the organizational model.
AI ethics.
Right. I haven't looked into the organizational model of OpenAI, but my first thought that came to my head when it rejected my request for a payload was, well, who's the admin to this and why do they get access to this, right? It'll build them the payload, right?
That's a good point.
Starts to wonder if something like this should be administered more by like a union or a council.
There we go.
You know what I mean?
The deep state, if you will.
Pissing off all my hacker brethren out there in the darknet, but sorry, guys.
Awesome.
Needs to be said.
Awesome. Well, with that, we'll close out. Thanks, everybody, for your time. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, give us some feedback, and we'll be in touch. Talk to you guys soon.
Next time.
Bye, guys.